Well, here is FanTaSy. You guys see his results, mostly for StarCraft 1, 165 to 110 win-loss ratio, and 1-1 so far here at Pro League 2014.
They call him the Terrorist, the idea or nickname he goes by, and he is a very scary opponent. You give him Vultures especially, but see what he can do here against Sniper, whose only map against Terran he dropped. Only played 4 matches in total, so not a whole lot of Pro League experience. Did not play Pro League in StarCraft 1. It was a new environment for him compared to Pro League for FanTaSy, which has been something he's played in countless times.
Looks very calm, ready for this match. Takes a bit of a breath here.
Yeah, you know, if he wins this, then it's all over. If he loses, they still have a backup plan. So there's not as much pressure on him, I feel, as there is on FanTaSy right now.
Yeah. MVP could possibly take down the Titans of SKT1 T1 here.
Yep, let's find out if they can do it right now. The map is Outboxer, FanTaSy versus Sniper here at the SPL.
LTA는 SK텔레콤.
Down here in the orange for SKT1 T1, the Terran player, FanTaSy.
A lot of people's fantasies came true tonight, Brendan. They were hoping to get to see him play. They did. There's his opponent, Sniper, GSL champion.
Yes, and let me ask you a question about FanTaSy.
Sure.
I'm not sure if you know the answer, so if you don't be.
So this
don't
could be
feel
really
bad.
awkward. I don't know.
No.
All right. Shoot.
I heard about FanTaSy GG timing.
Yes. Okay, so I know the answer to this question. I mean, actually, that's not a question.
I heard about it.
That's a Korean interview question. It's like, I've noticed that you do this thing, and then there's an answer. I'm like, well, that wasn't a question. That was just a statement that somebody responded to.
Well, what I heard is just that he takes an incredibly long time to GG. Something we haven't seen here in his StarCraft 2 games.
Yeah, he's known for leaving games way after they're over, and you know, just basically waiting until the last possible second to GG and leave the game. You know, a lot of people argue that sometimes, especially in a best of series, he's like just trying to get more relaxing time to like think about what happened in the game and like get his mind ready for the next game instead of just GGing immediately so he has less time. You know, he's not lifting his bullets and putting them in the corner, but he definitely waits until the last moment, well after the game is over. In StarCraft 2, we haven't seen that from him all too often, but sometimes, from time to time, he will leave a game as long as it takes Marine King to leave a game.
Yeah. We just saw Sniper actually send his drone to where there could be a possible proxy, a very popular spot on this map, to put a couple barracks and do a little bit of the cheese there. He checked that, and then he sent the drone back and made the hatchery. Sent it out a little bit earlier, just to be a little bit safer.
Yeah, keeping himself safe. And drone's going to come down here and take a peek. Checking around.
He's being very safe. He's making sure that there's nothing coming out of FanTaSy. Maybe he's expecting something like this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a fast Reaper, but that's not an immediate life threat to any of his drones, you know, to his hatchery. There's no SCV for bunkering. It's not going to be one of those weird fast Reaper plays where the player puts his SCV in the main base, tries to get a bunker up, and trade against Zerglings. We've seen Dream do that a lot. It's a build that hasn't really been, I feel like, figured out 100% just yet. And let's see how many Spore Crawlers he can force here and kill any drones. Well, not if he attacks the gas drones.
Oh, he gets one
drone.
drone.
Wow, he didn't get that Spore up in time. Looked like he was trying to queue it, but the Reaper hands of the Terrorist are too fast.
Just on top all the time. Now this Reaper not stopping, trying to get these Zerglings as well. Decent micro out of Sniper so far, keeping him back. No. Micro's back, the weak one. We do finally get the Zerglings targeted, so we see the health. Yep. Queen pops out.
Queen is going to basically end this attack for now. He went up to 3 Reapers. Sometimes when we see 3 Reapers, you see a really big commitment to Hellions and attacking the third base with the Reapers because you just have that extra DPS there. It's very annoying to deal with.
Yeah, and seeing the factory come down already, seems like we could see something like that. And at the same time, he's making another command center. He's going to have the Zerg player all the way on his side of the map, so he's going to be distracted for a very long time, keep the play away from his base so he can go for something like this, a greedier, faster third base.
Yeah, he shows all of this to the Overlord, so he's really not concerned about that. He's actually doing so much damage here. He's keeping the Queens very low, which is, he's not going to be able to kill them right now. However, when the Hellions arrive later and he continues the attack, having the Queens on low hit points, it makes a huge difference. And it starts to seem like we're going to see mech, Brendan. Great map for it. We've seen it a lot on this map, and double fact.
Yeah, I love the fact that he's going for mech on this map. I mean, you can just abuse that fourth base regardless of which side he tries to take it at so easily with tanks on the low ground. We've seen it so many times before on this map.
Ooh, Brendan, concussive shells. It's going to be double factory Marauder Hellion. That is one of the scariest builds you can ever face as a Zerg player because, you know, deal with Marauders traditionally, Zerglings are a pretty good choice. They're not armored. They're quick and cheap. They can surround the Marauders, do a lot of damage. But then if you have Hellions to buffer for that, then, you know, how do you deal with the Hellions? You can't really use Roaches. Very well can you if there are Marauders in the mix. Same with Spine Crawlers. Very difficult.
Yeah. The Overlord, though, he did see the tech lab on the barracks, so he is going to have some idea, especially with the Hellions and the Reapers. He just doesn't have much here at home. He has the Queens right now to defend, but they're very low from the Reaper harass that came initially.
Yeah.
Here comes another Overlord coming in. He doesn't see the second factory.
Oh man, if he sees this too, like, what he thinks is, you know, is actually that he's dealing with a player who's going for just regular stem timing and going into bio with Hellions. And it's not going to be the Marauder Hellion variation, you know, it's going to be the Blue Flame triple Hellion production variation. And this is, if you can get in the main base with these, it's just deadly. It's a disaster.
Well, as of now, this third base is taking a lot of damage. I mean, these units that FanTaSy has over here, the Hellions and the Reapers, don't do a lot of damage to buildings, but if you attack enough, it's going to get the health really low. Right now in the middle of the map, looks like he's going to come back and deal with these Zerglings for now.
Yeah. This is kind of weird because he's stopped attacking the base. He's actually going to come over here from the other angle. If he actually doesn't get seen, okay, that's why he sends one Zergling here, so he's going to see this. He needs to position his units to stop the Hellions because there's way more Hellions than he's expecting to see. And if he just like moves Queens over there and is like, nah, I got this, then he might just lose the game. Here we go.
Here it is. Now it is spotted. What does he have to deal with?
Oh, no block with the Evo Chamber, and here come these Hellions with a bit of Reaper support. And he starts the Roach Swarm, a bit of an afterthought here.
Tries to start it as soon as possible, also adding a bait in the nest, but here, all the Blue Flame Hellions, all of these drones are done for. They are burned to a crisp. There's just no more drones here.
That's the end of those drones. He even splits a few Hellions to the natural to do some damage there. But with only Zerglings to defend, he's like totally fine with just leaving these Hellions here. Any Zerglings that come out, he's going to have no problems with. The Queens, on the other hand, give him a bit more of a challenge. And he's going to try to escape here. Those are no vultures.
Yeah, gets the Queens off creep, makes them a little bit slower, but now, unfortunately, this attack is going to stop.
Wow, he's trying to trade pretty well against those Zerglings. Okay.
Yeah. And now 33 drones were killed by FanTaSy. But Sniper does have 3 bases. He is trying to drone up pretty hard here. He has taken a little bit of a hit, but he's now at 48, 50. Still droning.
It's just it's a matter of multiple things, right? When you lose that many drones, you have to replace them, which costs a lot, which means you don't have an army. Which means when the follow-up comes, when Stim is done, 1-1 is done, then how do you defend your bases? And then beyond that, the cost of the drones alone, and I mean, you never want to be even with a Terran player who's on the same number of bases with you and the same workers plus mules. So the build was a success. And now FanTaSy's transitioning, of course, into the standard bio. He's getting that combat shit out. He made a lot more Hellions. But I think these are going to be the last ones that we see this game. He just wants to switch. You know, he could even start some siege tanks with that tick lab from earlier.
Yeah, he's going to come in here, and the Queens and Zerglings are only here, the only things to defend at the third against all these Hellions. Like you said, probably the last Hellions we're going to see, but he's able to just, you know, clear creep. It's a very mobile army. You can come around to the third base, harass the fourth base if Sniper decides to go for that. Keep map control in his favor.
It's all these Marines coming across the map as well, with Stim, with 1-1 about to finish combat shields as well. His timing works out very nicely. He's not seen, he's not scouted, and with this he will likely be able to kill these Queens because there's just too much bio here. The Hellions are going to do some AoE support, and the Banelings are dangerous, but with good micro here, I don't think he's going to have too much of a problem.
He needs the good micro, though. Are we going to see it so far? Decent. Baneling speed about to finish, really wants that to finish right now. He has the +1 to melee attack for those Banelings, so they are going to do a bunch of damage.
Yeah, looks like he's just going to concede his position here and go to the main base instead. I mean, he's just way up in army. It's just the cost in Larva of reproducing your drones means that you don't have a lot when this type of attack hits you. It's the second step of you know, this Terran player's pressure build. She scans the natural, wants to find out where his opponent's units are. Unfortunately, they're not where he wants them to be. He's still going to lose some Hellions.
Yep. Probably going to lose all of them. Tries to drop in the main again, but prepared is Sniper. But one thing I'm worried about is that they've both been at 3 bases for a long time. Sniper really wants to get that 4th base, but he's just not able to at this moment.
You know, he just keeps trading against the Zerglings with these medevacs too, which is further, you know, reducing the amount of larva he has available. And it's also keeping his, you know, it's costing him money. And he's got the medevacs to run away. There's no Mutalisk. Mutalisk very delayed by this attack as well, something he knows. And this push could break his back. He's almost doubling his opponent's army supply. The 2-2 upgrades for Sniper just a little bit, you know, a little bit ahead, but they're not ready yet.
No, they're definitely. It's going to be so hard for Sniper to hold this push. We see all of these Marines. You see the micro out of FanTaSy even coming up to this. I just don't know if he's going to be able to hold this Sniper. He even has the Widow Mines for defense against a Baneling. Here comes a kind of counterattack at the third for FanTaSy, but he uses all of his Banelings on a bunker.
That's so much gas lost there, right? I mean, he even had 2 bunkers set up at home and siege tanks. FanTaSy is playing very well today. He's playing very, very well. And the Mutalisks that are out now are going to fly potentially into Widow Mines. That was very scary. He probably saw those Widow Mines, though, and that's not comforting to him, but at least he knows that he's not going to deal with this again. He's playing with fire right now.
Yeah, I was actually about to say the same thing. He's going right up to that army and back, right and back. And unless we see really bad micro out of FanTaSy, it's going to be, you know, even if we do see bad micro, because he's going to follow up with all of these units he had defending the third, the tanks, the extra Marines, Widow Mines, and it's just going to be so hard to hold this. I don't think he can do it.
Yep. Well, here we go. There we don't. This is really reminiscent of True versus FanTaSy. Just a lot of patient waiting. The 2 players beat their chests and scream at each other, not actually engage. This drop is a game changer on the other hand. This one will actually kill the hatch. The siege tank position is excellent. Here we go. The fight is almost on.
Almost on. The drop. The natural is going to be hard to clean up, but he might be able to hold it off with these extra Zerglings, but that Zerglings that aren't here at the third to hold all of these Marines right now. He even has a couple of Marauders in the mix to tank a lot of the Baneling hits. Very nice composition out of FanTaSy, well thought out.
And 3-3 is, you know, very soon to be completed. And once that's done, that's all she wrote, because there's no hive. There's no hive even considerable right now. He's even adding Thors in right now for extra damage, as well as a few Hellbats as the Baneling count gets lower. And, I mean, good night, Sniper. This game is looking pretty over. I mean, FanTaSy just has so much more back at home. Those Banelings not really hitting what they want to. And the Thor here with the rest of the Marines coming up, those reinforcements should be able to actually clean this up. FanTaSy is going to take the win. There's not much left for Sniper.
Nah, he's got nothing here. There's no army for him right now. He's desperately trying to make an army, desperately trying to get Banelings, but it's not even going to morph. This huge Army here to GG.
GG.
Comes out. FanTaSy is able to bring this to an ace match.
Wow. It was I mean, that was basically him taking a very early lead and then making no mistakes. When you lose that many drones to Hellions, it's almost impossible to recover on a map of this size because the Terran is just going to hit you over and over and over and over again. You're never going to stabilize your economy. If you do stabilize your economy, you don't have enough army to defend the attack. It's a lot of management, and it's very difficult when you lose so many drones early on against a Terran player who has a safe third base up with siege tanks and bunkers for the defense. You know, he essentially lost the game when the Hellions killed those drones. Very well hidden build by FanTaSy.
And FanTaSy continuing to play well. Sniper obviously disappointed here. Definitely wanted to take that win, bring it here for MVP.